It all started way back when in 2008. I was about to become a brand new college student. I'd just gotten myself an Apple Mac, and at this point I'd probably been watching YouTube for about a year and a half. I'd been watching people like CTFXC and the Shaytards, you know, the day in the life blogs, and I'd also been watching some videos of people who just sit there in a stationary camera and talk about specific topics. People like SXE Phil, Lisa Nova, the Vlog Brothers, the really old school of YouTube. And I decided that I wanted to give this a go, and that's when what is now today my second channel was created, called InTheLittleWoods. And the reason I called it that is because my name is Martin Littlewood, my surname is Littlewood, which a lot of people still to this day don't believe for some reason. I don't think it's that weird of a surname. And yeah, I decided that if this was going to be about me and my life and my family and friends, then it would be plural, so it would have the S and it would be in the Littlewoods. It would be in my life, you'd be a part of whatever I see, whatever I do, whatever I think, whatever I feel. That was kind of the goal that I had with it. And I wasn't very good at it. I was a really rubbish YouTuber. I think I managed to somehow scrape 1,000 or 2,000 subscribers, which in the early days was actually considered a lot better than it is in today's market, but I gave it a go for a while. I wasn't particularly good. There are still some videos though that I'm actually incredibly proud of, and one of those videos is actually a chat roulette video, which I know sounds strange for me, but chat roulette had just been released. Me and a friend called Ed went on there dressed up as characters. I was dressed up as Superman, he was dressed up as Darth Vader, and we were getting people to dance and do silly things and pretend to throw boomerangs and get them to drink things and all sorts. It was really cool. And yeah, that one I still absolutely love. It's about 5 or 6 minutes. I highly recommend you check it out. Amongst that, I did a couple of vlogs, and I also did song parodies. I started song parodies way before I wrote Form This Way. I did parodies of Rihanna's Shut Up and Drive, which is about a lorry driver called Stan and him dunking his chicken nuggets whilst he drives on the road. And I also did one called The Ting Tings That's Not My Name, and the parody that I wrote was called That's Not My Train, and it somehow managed to make its way onto BBC Radio 1, which is a national radio station. So that is kind of an achievement, I guess, in itself, which is pretty good. But anyway, those videos are still available to watch on that channel today, and they are incredibly cringeworthy. And part of me has wanted to take them down, but I like the idea of people being able to go to that channel, see how awful I used to be, and they can compare it to how distinctly average I am today, and they can see some kind of progression over the years. But anyway, let's flash forward to February 21st, 2011, when I uploaded my very first gaming video. And this video didn't actually end up going on the InTheLittleWoods channel, but instead it went onto the channel that you've all subscribed to and the channel we're watching right now, InTheLittleWood. So we took the S off, mainly because most social networks didn't allow me to put in a name longer than InTheLittleWood. And my very first video was a video with my friend Max. It was called Martin and Friends Episode 1, Can Cow Swim? And it was a little let's play that I was doing in the hope of finding some lapis lazuli. I was obsessed with it back then, still obsessed with it today, and now it actually has a purpose in the game, which is fantastic. And leading up to this, I'd been playing Minecraft I think for about 4 or 5 months, and I was absolutely obsessed with the game. And eventually I came across videos like Simon and Lewis's, people like I Am Spoon, Wolf21, Lucklin from Minecraft Workbench, and I thought, hey, I really enjoy radio presenting, which was what I was doing at university, and I really loved this game, and apparently there is a market for doing both of them together. So I gave it a try, and lo and behold, people actually seemed to quite enjoy it. It only took me about a week or two to amass about 120 subscribers, and I remember I made this video that you can see, where I basically recreated a Minecraft chat message of me saying thank you. I made it with wool. It took me like an hour and a half, and I had to use a very old school version of a Flatland world because they weren't actually implemented into the game yet. And that's it. That's where it happened. As soon as I broke 100 subscribers and I made that milestone video, I was absolutely hooked. I wanted to make more videos, wanted to spend more time on it. I wanted to live stream. I just wanted to entertain. I really did. Like, it's what I've always lived to do. And here's where things get a little bit crazy, difficult to remember, and it's essentially the catalyst for what is the sapling community today. Form This Way. It's a parody about Minecraft from Lady Gaga's Born This Way, and truth be told, I actually spent the first week of my final project for my final year at university. I called in sick. I wanted to do nothing but this, which really was kind of a stupid move, but I guess it paid off. The video did pretty well. Around about that time I only had about 250 subscribers, and we managed to amass about 100,000 views on the song. That was partly thanks to Minecraft Chick, who know her today as Lydia Winters, she works for Mojang, and also Bebop Vox for giving it a massive shout out. He put it on the Minecraft Monday show, and then that was it. I was like, I need more people to hear this song. People really do enjoy it. It's just about actually making people aware of it. So I went onto the Yogscast forums. Now back in the day, if you posted something in the Minecraft sub forum, it would just get flooded out. A thread wouldn't be in the first page for more than 10 minutes. It was that crazy, and there was that much traffic flow into it. So I posted my video, and then essentially I kind of played the system. Every couple of hours, I would go back to the thread, I would read some of the replies, I would reply to them, which would then bump them back to the top of that sub forum, and I managed to stay on the first page for about 3 days, which was completely unheard of. And eventually somebody at Yogs saw it, passed it along to Lewis, and then he sent me a private message on the Yogs forums and said, hey, come on to Ventrilo, we want to have a chat, an introduction, and we've got a proposal for you. And I lost my freaking mind. I had no idea what to say to the people that had the biggest YouTube channel in the UK, and I think probably one of the biggest in the world at that point. But I went on there, had a little chat with Lewis, and he basically said, hey, we want to put it on our channel. So we had the instrumental fixed, because the instrumental was actually just the original one, so they had a brand new one made. All the visuals stayed the same because I made it with what is now a very inferior 3D rig. It's a Blender rig that I used back in the day, and we put the video out and it blew up. It got a couple million views in its first week. It started to sell really well on iTunes, and I went from 250 subscribers up to about 15,000 in the space of 5 or 6 days. I wasn't really sure what to do. Up until that point, I'd been going to everybody's channel who subscribed to me and left a comment saying thank you and asked them how they found out about me, and I still did that for probably the first 3,000 or 4,000 subscribers that came through. I was spending like 6 or 7 hours a day though doing this, and eventually it just got too overwhelming. The subs were coming in faster than I could comment on their channels, and I decided that was the point where I had to just let it be, let it grow, let's see where it goes from there. And that was essentially how this channel really took off, and I had more motivation than ever before to carry on making content, so I did so. We managed to get up to probably about 150 videos. We got to 20,000 subscribers. I made this video, which actually took me about 5 or 6 hours to build. It was a recreation of something that I'd seen on Google Images, and I wanted to get it pixel perfect. And then later that year, I went to my very first convention for anything, first ever gaming convention. I went to Minecon 2011 in Las Vegas, and it absolutely obliterated any of my expectations of how I thought that convention would go. I thought I'd go along to it, I'd shoot a few videos, potentially meet up with Simon and Lewis, you know, to meet them in person for the first time, and that would be it. But no, it turns out that there were actually people there who went to meet me. They were wearing my t-shirts. There was a girl called Marie, who I'll still remember to this day has always been the first person to give me a gift as a fan, and it still sits on my Minecraft shelf in my office. It's a little lapis lazuli block, and there was some treats on the inside of it as well. And then I finally got to meet the guys. So a lot of people always ask me how I first met them. I've told you about the online version. Here's the IRL version. They had a little boardroom. I sent them a text that morning and they said, hey, we've got this separate room, got a nice long boardroom table, there's food and drinks in here, you'll be able to escape away from the madness, and you'll also be able to upload videos because we've got Wi-Fi in here, we've got power sockets for your laptop. So I actually took the opportunity to do so. I went into the room, and I remember I met Lewis, I met Hannah, I met some of the other people, and I sat down, and Simon hadn't actually arrived yet, and I was sat there on my laptop editing away a piece that I just recorded. And I remember Simon came into the room, and I was kind of nervous, and I didn't look over at him, and eventually he sat his bag down opposite me, sat down, and then I just very slowly lifted my eyes from my laptop directly ahead of me, and there he was, staring at me dead in the eyes. I was freaking out. I thought I'd sat in his seat or something by accident. He had a really stone cold face, and then all of a sudden he just went, oh my fucking God. And that's my impression of him, by the way. And then he just leapt up out of his chair, ran around the table, gave me a massive hug, patted me on the back, and then did his "hello everybody" impression that he does of me, and everybody laughed, and that was it. The ice was broken. We all hung out for the rest of the event. It was really, really cool, and I actually helped them out with the presentation. I helped carry the gear down so they could do it on stage live, and actually before the presentation kicked off and everyone was flooding into the seats, there was music playing on the speakers, and then my song came on, and the whole crowd just basically erupted. And I went up on stage with them, you know, waved to everybody, did a little vlog piece on stage as well, and I'll never forget that. That was the first time I had a mass of people saying hi to me. It was very, very strange. From somebody who's lived quite a sheltered life, it was weird to have so many people's eyes on me at once. It was very peculiar. And yeah, that was essentially Minecon in a nutshell. I met people like Basherverse, Bebop Fox, Lucklin, I met Sly Fox for the first time, all these really, really cool and down-to-earth YouTubers that I'm still massive friends with today. And now we're going to fast forward about 9 months to August of 2012, and during that time, we hit our 1-year anniversary on the channel, where I got a load of different video dedication messages from people. We got 100,000 subscribers. Then we did the Yogscast survival games, and I remember specifically how much hate we got on that video, just purely because me and Toby already knew the map inside out. We'd been playing it for about 3 months on different live streams, and the Yogs were very, very late to it, but we were still invited along. I expressed this concern, and Lewis was like, you know what, it's fine, we don't mind, so we'll just let the audience know and they won't mind. But apparently they did. I ended up winning it. It came down to me and Toby in the end. People absolutely lost their minds and got super angry, but apparently not too angry, because a couple of weeks after that, we suddenly leaped up about 50,000 subscribers and we got to 150k. And then we got to August 21st when we released Screw the Nether. And I was absolutely cacking my pants about this, mainly because it had been a little bit too long since the previous song. It was just over a year, maybe a year and a half, and people's expectations were that if it's taken this long, it's going to be something uber mega exciting. And that did actually push us up to the 200,000 subscriber mark, which we actually hit on the day that I moved to Yog Towers. Now I'm going to backpedal ever so slightly. I went to record Screw the Nether. There was an empty office space here, and Lewis essentially said to me, hey, do you want the office space? Do you want to move to Bristol and record videos out of our office and become part of the Yogscast group? And obviously I was like, oh my god, yes. But at the time, I was still working in retail at the weekends, and I was also still following my dreams at the time of becoming a radio presenter, and I was doing a weekly show. It was Monday to Thursday. I had a solid job in that career path, and I found it a little bit difficult to want to let that go. So I told Lewis I'd need a little bit of time to think about it, and probably a week and a half after I got back to Nottingham from recording Screw the Nether, I had to be let go from the radio station. They had to make monetary cuts, so I felt like my decision was essentially just made up for me, and I was like, okay, you know what, I'm going to do it. And the day that I moved to Bristol, I woke up to 200k, and it was an absolutely brilliant way to start off what would be a new chapter in my life. After I got all settled in, it was off to our first convention of me being a member of Yogscast, and that was to the Eurogamer 2012 Expo, where I played things like Ni no Kuni for the first time, which would obviously the next year go on to be one of my biggest Let's Plays ever. And I also met Nerd³ there, so people always ask how me and Dan met. We conversed on Twitter a little bit. I think we had each other on Skype, but I had no idea he was going to be at Eurogamer. I was in the queue at Eurogamer, he came over, he said hello. I didn't know what he looked like at that point, and we did a little sort of like awkward interview in the style of some of the E3 ones we'd seen, and at the end of it he said, are you going to teach me how to play Minecraft someday? And I said, hell yeah, I will. And then we both looked at the camera and went, and that's essentially how we decided that we were going to do Little versus Cubed, or Little Cubed, or Little and Cubed. We've called it many a thing, but that's essentially the story of how me and Dan met, which is also another FAQ that I get from people all the time. And a mere few weeks later, I find myself at Disneyland Paris for Minecon 2012, and oh my god, was that event nuts. So at this point, we're probably grown to about 250,000, maybe 300,000 subscribers, and boy did it show. Me and Captain Sparkles, you know him as Jordan, we were supposed to do a presentation after the main stage opening, just a general Q&A session with fans in the crowd. They'd go up to the microphone, they'd ask us something, but we couldn't even get to the stage, and we were sat pretty close to it. We were sat in the reserved seating for YouTubers and VIPs and stuff, but we just got absolutely swarmed by people, and that was essentially the entire of the event. And I basically decided that rather than trying to hide from people, trying to get to all these different panels to actually, you know, see what people have to present, I can always watch them back on demand. I thought, I'm only here because of all the saplings. I'm only here because people have subscribed. That's the reason I was able to afford the flight and the tickets and the hotel room. So I wanted to dedicate as many hours as possible to meeting people and, you know, having a picture with them, maybe even just signing an autograph, answering a question they might have. And I stood out there for 6 hours outside the main conference hall in the rain, I might add, for probably about 4.5 hours of that. It wasn't very torrential rain, but it was enough to get me a head cold by the end of the event. I didn't get con flu, I got general flu, but at least I was in the mindset of knowing that I could go away happy that I'd managed to get around to seeing as many people as possible, because some people come to these events and they really just want to meet that one person, and if I'm that person, I will do everything in my power to actually do that. When I returned from Minecon, I met myself a lovely lady called BYEEE, and I think we all know where that story's going, so we'll get back to that in just a couple of minutes. But anyway, got back, that was November, the start of December began, and that's when we decided we were going to take part in the Christmas live streams for charity, and that is honestly some of the most fun I've ever had in my entire life. Sparkles, Parv, Strippin, Kai, Becky, all the people that have ever been involved in those in the last 2 years, an absolutely massive thank you for being a part of that, because people, one, absolutely love it. We raise a crazy amount of money for charity, and it's just a generally good time. I will honestly always hold those live streams as probably one of the fondest memories I'll ever have. I've been able to go all over the world with this job. I've been to places like Sweden with Strippin, thanks to Dan Sheridan at EA, to go and check out some Battlefield 4 stuff. Myself and Kai have been with Ubisoft to Paris. We went to go check out Rayman Legends, where I actually got to play Rayman with its creator. A few days later, we found ourselves in Germany for Gamescom 2013. I went as Kai's cameraman because it was her birthday, so I had to make sure that I was there to celebrate it with her, and it was just a nice way of helping her out. We went to Paris with Kim for Pokemon X and Y. We've been to London numerous times, and not forgetting the I-49 Minecraft Gaming Expo. Absolutely crazy. We played some Minecraft survival games on stage, having literally thousands of people stood in front of you cheering and roaring as you're playing some PvP in Minecraft was honestly one of the biggest rushes I've ever gotten in my entire life. It was an absolutely fantastic event. Loads and loads of people. We sat there on the autograph table for 2-3 hours each day signing stuff. It's nice to do something in the UK because obviously all the Minecons we've been to have always been offshore, so to do something that's home in England, it was really pleasant to do that. And then I guess this whole video really comes full circle because in November of last year I was being very secretive. I wasn't able to go to Minecon, which was a massive shame, and the reason for that was because myself and Kai moved into an apartment together. She moved away from Southampton, I moved out of my 1-bedroom place, we got a 2-bedroom place together. And remember how I said that I always wanted to do the day in the life vlogs? I wanted to do a vlogging channel, and I was finally able to do that. If you haven't seen it yet, and if you're not aware, it's called InTheLittleDream. If you really like videos like this, or if you just want to ever get to know me on a more personal level, or see behind the scenes of anything that I do at Yog Towers, or if I go away to Gamescom, if I go to a game studio to try out a game, then that's definitely the place you should go to. We're nearly at 60,000 subscribers, and I think if you ever want to get to know more of my story and more about me, then that's definitely the right place to go, and I think that would be a really nice place to cap things off. Of course, following that channel being set up, we did the Christmas live streams again, and over the last couple of weeks we've been getting inches and inches closer to the 1 million subscriber mark, and we finally arrived here. So I hope you enjoyed this video. That was essentially a recap of my life and my career on YouTube so far, and everything before that in my life was just a bit sort of meh, very run of the mill. I didn't think it would be that interesting to share with you. So thank you very much for watching, everybody. Thank you again for 1 million subscribers. Everything that I've just spoken about in the last 20 minutes is all possible because you've all pressed that button at one time or another. You've watched the videos, you've left a comment, you've given it a like, you've shared it with your friends, and I'm honestly not kidding on that. It really is all down to you, and I genuinely again just like to say thank you. Bye bye.